Hi friends, my name is Katie Robinson and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about really all of your first steps when you get married into the military. So this is definitely something that I haven't found a lot online, on YouTube, on blogs about, and it would be super helpful because when Michael and I got married, we were trying to figure out like all the document changes, all the paperwork that needed to change, and definitely like we were delayed with some things because we thought you were supposed to do it one way and you actually do it another way. So I hope this video is super helpful for you. If you are dating or engaged to someone in the military, or you just got married, give this video a thumbs up and let me know if you'd like to see more content like this. Okay, so you guys got married, congratulations, or you're about to. That's super exciting. Y'all know that I love weddings and marriage and all of that. As a wedding photographer, like it's one of my favorite things. But getting married to someone in the military adds like another level of complexity to everything that you're already going through with paperwork and documents and licenses and all of that. So first thing I want to mention to y'all, if you are getting married in a different state, let's say you're getting married at home, you both have to be present to get your marriage license. So this is something that Michael and I guess like knew, but didn't actually think about the logistics of it, because there's often a deadline and timeline around when you're allowed to get your marriage license. For example, where we were getting married, you were able to get it, I believe, 60 days before the wedding date is when the license becomes valid for it, but you're not allowed to get it more than or less than 5 days. So where we were getting married, you were allowed to get your license 60 days in advance of the wedding, but not less than 5 days before the wedding. So for us, Michael was in a really busy training calendar, and I had work, and we live 8 hours from where we were getting married. We were getting married back in our hometowns, and so there wasn't really like a weekend because Michael was on a recall limit. So basically like he couldn't go outside of a certain radius of the post because he had to be able to get back and deploy rapidly, that we could go back and get our license. And we were driving up for the wedding like 2 days before the wedding. So we also couldn't get it right before the wedding. So we've had a couple relatives and friends that were getting married in their hometowns and they don't live there anymore that also went through the same thing. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Make sure you look up like where you're getting married, kind of the timeline on marriage licenses, and how logistically how you're going to get back there. If y'all are stationed in Hawaii and you're planning on getting married, you know, in New York or something, like you really have to figure that stuff out ahead of time as to when you're both going to be in the same city to get the marriage license. So that's kind of step one. Step two is when you actually do get married, you have a couple pieces of paperwork that are strictly military that you have to add onto your to-do list. So obviously you as a civilian will need to change your driver's license, your passport if you have one and you plan on traveling abroad, your car registration and insurance, like really all of that. Like I had to change my academic enrollment stuff for graduate school. You also have to change your social security card. This is a big one. So for your social security card, this is really important to start kind of all the other steps. So you actually need it to start your driver's license and all of that as well. So what you need to change your social security card is to have your marriage license and some form of identification in your maiden name, whether that's a driver's license, a passport, etc. And then you really just have to go to the Social Security office and tell them you got married. So I recommend getting multiple copies of your marriage license. In almost every state, they are free. Duplicate copies are free for active duty military. So you will literally need them for everything. Like I think we got 15 copies and we probably used like 9 of them already. So I would highly recommend getting extra copies of your marriage license because everyone needs it for name changes, bank accounts, everything like that. So the next step after you've kind of you can do kind of that civilian social security change and driver's licenses simultaneously while you're doing the military changes. This is what Michael and I were confused about. We thought, based on some things we had read online, that before you go to Deers and try to get your military like spouse ID card, you had to have your new social security card or your new driver's license or whatever. That is not the case. So just to be clear, you can go to Deers right away. So you both need to be there. You and your husband need to be present, which can be complicated with their schedules. And you have to make an appointment beforehand. So everyone, like you can't just walk in. You'll wait forever and then they'll tell you to go make an appointment. But make an appointment with Deers with your husband. And bring your marriage license, a copy of your marriage license and your identification, and they will be able to start that process, because basically the marriage certificate throughout this whole thing acts as proof that this was your maiden name and it legally has become switched to your married name. So they don't really need the married ID cards yet if you have a copy of your marriage license. So they will be able to enroll you in Deers, and they actually get your ID card for you on the spot, and then you'll have that military spouse ID card, so you can use kind of amenities on post, get onto post, and also like shop at the commissary and the PX and whatnot. The other thing, your husband will need to call TRICARE. Usually I believe at our post it takes like 45 minutes for the Deers system to update, but your husband will need to call TRICARE at this point and enroll you in TRICARE as his spouse. You'll come up automatically, the system will update, but he needs to enroll you in which version of TRICARE you guys have decided you want to be in. There's two different kinds. One requires you to only go on post for certain services, and then the other one actually allows you to choose your care provider for a larger premium. The other thing that your husband needs to do is he needs to enroll you in TRICARE Dental separately. Michael didn't know this, and I scheduled a dental appointment, and the lady was like, well, you're not, you know, enrolled in TRICARE. And I was like, oh no, I'm totally enrolled in TRICARE. And I actually was not enrolled in TRICARE Dental. And so it takes like a month to update when they finally do enroll you. So I couldn't even, like, I basically missed the appointment by 2 months. So make sure they enroll you in both TRICARE and TRICARE Dental. And all of that can be done right after you get in the Deers system and you have that military spouse ID card. Okay, so the next thing I want to give you guys an update about isn't the most fun topic, but it is really important. So there are two forms that your husband needs to update once you guys get married. It's the DD93 form and the SGLI. If you bring both of those up to him, he should know what they are. DD93 and SGLI. Both of these forms basically, one is his like emergency, think of it as a military emergency contact form, and the other one is his life insurance policy and wishes and whatnot. And those two forms, basically, if anything were to happen to him that was really serious, or God forbid he were to pass away, those forms denote who his life insurance and kind of like all the proceedings from there get sent to and worked through with. It doesn't matter if you're his spouse and he still has his dad on there or his mom on there, or his ex-wife on there. We have had a couple situations like that. It doesn't matter at all if you're his wife now. If it still says his ex-wife or if it still says his dad, the military will only give it to the person written on that form. So I can't drive this home enough. Like, I've heard horror stories of people that were married with kids and the DD93 forms and SGLI were not updated. And just make sure when you all get married that your husband kind of talks through that stuff with you and you guys update that, especially before any trainings or deployment. It's really important. They should go over this with them in their unit, but always good to just be on the same page as a military spouse. Communication is like the best thing that you can have in your corner in your marriage. So make sure you communicate with your husband and bring those two things up. Okay, so really just kind of final thoughts on the whole getting married into the military thing. one thing I highly recommend is that you guys memorize each other's social security numbers. It's funny, like in our modern era of texting and phone calls on iPhones and whatnot, we like don't even know people's phone numbers, much less their social security number. But just an FYI, every single time you try to schedule a doctor's or dental appointment using TRICARE, you need to know your spouse's social security number. So things like that are really important. The next thing I would recommend is make sure your husband tells his command team, whatever that looks like, that he got married, and update you on rosters for his company or unit, and also make sure the FRG knows that you are a new military spouse, because most FRGs have some kind of support system or welcoming, or at least send out training calendars and pertinent information. So make sure he updates that. If you guys live on base, there are quite a few other things that you need to do, like registering your car on post, things like that. And also, one final thing, make sure your husband takes all these documents to finance, like your marriage certificate and stuff like that, so that you guys can be up to date in the finance office based on his number of dependents and BAH and all those kinds of things. So that's pretty much it as far as my like tidbits of knowledge for documentation changes and actual logistical stuff on marrying into the military. If this was really helpful for you guys, please give it a thumbs up and tag a friend below that you think would really benefit from this kind of information. One thing I've just started doing is on my Instagram account, which I will drop the little handle below, I am giving shout outs to one person a week that shares a video of mine on their Instagram story and gives me a reason why they loved it or it helped them, because I really want to connect with my community more, feature you guys, give you guys shout outs, and also learn like what's really resonating with you. It helps me a ton to hear what, you know, is kind of hitting your heart and talking to you and speaking to you and helping you out, because that's why I'm here. So if you love this community and you want to stay a part of it, hit the subscribe button and tap the little bell. Again, my name is Katie Robinson with the Full Bucket Vlogs, and I always just want to remind you guys to find joy, spread love, and seek adventure. Bye.